Have you ever wondered which Disney princesses would be besties? We've had a lot of fun pairing them up. Keep watching to the end to discover the adorable real-life link between two of the princesses. The actress that voiced Ariel knows which princess her girl would be besties with. We could not contain our excitement when all the Disney princesses came together in Ralph Breaks the Internet. We saw them in their casual clothes, bonding over their shared experiences, and we started to imagine which princesses would be most likely to pair up as BFFs. We've analyzed their character traits and dissected what they were like in their movies to come up with our list of Disney princess besties. As you watch along, be sure to tell us if you agree.
Really? I'm guessing you don't have much experience with heat.
Nope.
First up, it's Snow White and Cinderella. We're starting at the very beginning with the very first ever Disney princess, Snow White. She got the whole franchise rolling in 1937 and ushered in the golden age of Disney princesses. This era includes Cinderella and Aurora too. The heroines of these three movies in the 1930s and 1950s have lots in common. They all wait passively for their prince to arrive. They all look and act the same, being dainty and ladylike, and they all have to face the same nemesis, a villainous older woman. Their tales are a straightforward battle of good versus bad, so we think Snow White and Cinderella would definitely get each other. These two, more so than Aurora, have a heap of shared interests. They both love to hang with animals, and they both spend a lot of time cleaning. We can just imagine Snow White and Cinderella hanging out together in our modern-day world. They'd watch Marie Kondo on Netflix and obsess over how to fold clothes. They'd work together in an animal sanctuary, and they'd constantly take lost causes and strays back home to their spotlessly clean apartments. When they weren't cleaning and baking homemade cookies, they'd be out singing in their local choir. Sure, all the Disney princesses love to sing, but you can imagine that these two actually consider singing to be a serious hobby. After all, they didn't do much else in their films other than clean, sing, and wait. All of that would only be practical if they were quite a bit older than they were in their movies. Why so? You might be shocked when we reveal Snow White's actual age. Fun fact, Snow White is only 14, so whether or not she's the fairest of them all, she's certainly the youngest of them all. Ready for another fun fact? Cinderella was Walt Disney's favorite heroine. He told the actress that voiced Cinderella that there was something about the story that he could really associate with. Aurora might be feeling a little left out, but we've got a different bestie lined up for her.
Oh, I understand, but it's more than I ever hoped for.
Aurora and Rapunzel. Aurora exhibits all those same characteristics as the other Golden Age princesses, but we reckon she'd get on perfectly with a more modern princess, and that's Rapunzel. Although there's more than 50 years between their films, Aurora and Rapunzel have a lot in common. They're both dreamers, and they both have a love story at the heart of their movies. Even though Rapunzel is part of the revival era of Disney princesses, there are aspects of her story that hark back to the Golden Age era. Sure, she's more independent and proactive. She hits Flynn with a frying pan and takes charge, and she's pretty darn sassy too. But Rapunzel didn't go on her own journey by herself. She needed Flynn to help her escape the tower and track down the lanterns. And the 2010 movie wound up with the Golden Age happy ending of a wedding. But the dynamic in Tangled was different. It wasn't totally one-sided, with the man as the hero. Rapunzel and Flynn saved each other. Aurora, on the other hand, did totally rely on Prince Philip to show up and save her. However, she had a dream that she was totally committed to, and that shows a certain amount of strong-willed spirit. Just like Rapunzel had a dream that she wouldn't give up, they both even have songs about dreams, for goodness sake. We can just imagine these two besties doodling love hearts and lanterns all over their notebooks in their poetry class, because they would totally be taking night classes together at their local community college. Rapunzel would love helping her BFF learn how to paint, and Aurora would teach her bestie how to forage for berries. They would also bond over their upbringings. Although both of their moms were alive, which is rare for a Disney princess, neither of them were raised by their birth mothers. We could also see Rapunzel being good friends with Anna from Frozen. They're both super enthusiastic and go-getters, but we've picked someone else to be Anna's bestie, based on something that only the two of them have in common in the Disney princess world. Stay tuned for that later, as we're moving on to Anna's sister now, Jasmine and Elsa. Although Elsa and Anna would of course have a bond that could never be broken, we don't actually envisage the sisters being besties. Instead, we reckon Elsa would love love hanging out with Jasmine. The princess from Aladdin is as much of a rebel as Frozen's Ice Queen. Although there's more than 20 years between Jasmine's 1992 movie and Elsa's 2013 film, they have plenty in common. They both want to break free from the confines placed on them, and they're both proactive in seeking a new life for themselves. Given Jasmine's skill in hopping over castle walls, we can just picture her sneaking into private parties. And Elsa would be totally on board with her BFF, acting all haughty if anyone accused them of gate crashing. These two would certainly get up to a lot of mischief together. We also think Jasmine would be good friends with Ariel. They'd bond over their shared experience of defying their fathers and running away. They're both part of the Renaissance era of Disney princess movies. This era includes Belle, Mulan, and Pocahontas too. And these princesses are more progressive and independent than the Golden Age trio that came before them. These ladies aren't waiting around for a prince to save them or doing what their fathers tell them to do. Speaking of which, let's move on to another Renaissance girl now.
You can see straight through your armor.
Pocahontas and Anna. At first glance, this pairing might seem a little surprising, but when you go deep with these two, you'll see that they actually have a lot in common, and where it matters most, in their hearts and souls. They both have the superpower of love, and they're both willing to make the ultimate sacrifice. That's going to bond you tight as besties. It would be too tiresome for either of these ladies to be BFFs with someone who is too preoccupied with their own stuff to care about others. We can just imagine them going on marches and protests together, of the peaceful kind naturally. Pocahontas is a pacifist, after all. In her 1995 film, Pocahontas was willing to sacrifice her life to save John, but it wasn't just about romantic love. It was also about her deep love for her village and for the earth. In her 2013 movie, Anna was also willing to sacrifice herself for love. It was to save her sister rather than her lover, and that shows how important love of all kinds is to both of these princesses. But romantic love is another interesting thing they have in common. Specifically, they both have two love interests in their films. This sets them apart from all other Disney princesses, and we can just imagine these besties having late-night video chats about their relationship dramas. We can also imagine Pocahontas being good friends with Moana. After all, these two both love nature. But we've paired up Moana with someone who's totally on her level in a different way. Merida and Moana. First up, let us say that we love both Merida and Moana. They're feisty and strong-willed, and are totally inspiration in the way they fight against what's expected of them. However, they both have a touch of the sulky teenager about them, particularly Merida. But we're not judging. We totally get why they would want to rage against their parents. They're ready to get on with life on their own terms, and they don't want to be held back by their parents limiting expectations for them. They want to break free from their confined roles, and they're not bothered about doing what they're told. This is exactly why they would bond and become besties. We can just imagine them helping each other out when their folks are being overbearing. If one of them got grounded, the other would totally hatch a plan. They'd be constructing all kinds of devices to help their BFFs sneak out. We could see these two going on an amazing gap year together before they headed to college. Moana could steer the boat, and Merida could catch fish with her bare hands. We could also see Merida being good friends with Mulan. Merida would look up to the warrior princess and respect her fighting skills. They'd love sparring together and going on survival weekends. But we think Mulan would actually be BFFs with a princess who shares her dedication and work ethic.
Thing doesn't give you power to create life. It's a homing beacon of death.
Tiana and Mulan. Tiana has the distinction of being the only Disney princess with a full-time job. In fact, she works more than one job. So to say she's a hard worker is somewhat of an understatement. And you know who else works incredibly hard? Mulan, that too. She's trained tirelessly to become the best soldier. And, save her entire country. No biggie. So these two besties would have a lot of respect for one another. They'd never find themselves in a situation where one had to drag the other up to her level. They'd meet up before work each morning and get an early gym session in. Tiana and Mulan would also bond over their love and respect for their fathers. Even though Mulan defied her father by joining the army, she was doing it to protect him. Mulan was doing it out of love for him, and that's in contrast to the other princesses in the Renaissance era. Tiana worked tirelessly to open her own restaurant out of respect for her father, but she eventually realized that her dad was trying to teach her about the importance of love above all else. That's a lesson that Mulan learned too. We could imagine Tiana and Mulan Mulan being good friends with Belle too. Belle also has a deep love and respect for her father, and she sacrifices herself to take his place in the Beast's dungeon. These three give us good daughter goals, but we actually picked out a different princess to be Belle's BFF, and that's because of a very special real-life reason. Ariel and Belle. Our final pair of Disney princess besties have their very own cheerleader, and that's Jodie Benson. Jodie is the original voice of Ariel in the 1989 movie, so she should know a thing or two about the Little Mermaid, and she's revealed which princess she thinks Ariel would be BFFs with, and that's Belle. Jodie made the revelation in an interview in 2019, celebrating 30 years since the movie came out, and she explained her sweet reasoning behind her choice. It's because the woman who voices Belle, Paige O'Hara, is one of Jodie's oldest and dearest friends. They've been friends for over 36 years, so because the two voice actresses have a great friendship, Jodie thinks that Ariel and Belle would follow suit. She believes that the princesses would connect with each other in so many different ways. Ariel loves thingamabombs and books and everything that Belle's involved with, so she thinks they'd be best friends because they're best friends in life. Believe it or not, there's another real-life reason why these two princesses are linked. Sherry Stoner was the live-action model for both Ariel and Belle, so they're connected in lots of ways. We could just imagine Ariel and Belle being part of a book club and getting excited about the latest releases. So there you have it, our take on which Disney princesses would be besties. Did we get it right? Which Disney princess would you want as your BFF? Weigh in your opinion in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to The Things for more videos like this one. And don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. We'll see you next time.